Hey, this is 214. We are doing designing the user experience here. Now I'm going to skip ahead right here in this video because I went over this finding different GUIs in Python. Do your own research and go on beyond this. I'm getting to this part after step 4, tkinter. How do I design this graphical user interface? You can look at this documentation, this tutorial. I have a link. I'm keeping track of commands I learned right here, posting it in the video too. You can do this, and they recommend doing this in VS Code, but all us online people, I'm not using VS Code. You can use it in Tinker. Open this up. In Trinket, excuse me. And you can open up this code, and if I run it, it's going to look like this with this gray box. It seems to work fine, but I'm going to actually use it in Replit because I'm not seeing that title bar in Trinket, and that might matter a little bit. So, up to you. But I'm using Replit. So my first step right here, you copy and pasted this code, you run it, and it just pops up this box right here. What's actually going on in this box? You have to stop me, people watching. Just interrupt me. It imports the tkinter GUI, or the API, so we can, which is a graphical user interface. And what it's going to do is first create a new window. This root equals tk.tk creates a new window right here that I can put stuff into. So this is kind of like in Turtle where it did you created turtle.turtle or whatever. Brand new window right here. And then it does this geometry command. It says 200 by 200. Maybe you don't know what that is, but and then we've got, so my guess here, your guess would probably be, oh, that's probably the length and width of this. So you can even try, let's change this. Make this 100. Made it smaller, 100 by 200. So, hey, that's what's going on with that one. If I want to change the size of that window, I can update that. Then we got this main loop. So the main loop is just similar to the turtle. I think it just keeps it running. You just have to have that at the end. So leaving it all there, this created this new window. All right. Next step, I want to change it to 200 by 100 pixels. So 200 by 100, I changed this one. Oops, not 2100. Stop it, run it again. There it goes, 200 by 100. Easy enough, right? Okay, not bad so far. Now, I want to reference the top level window methods, the bold parts of the reference section. Okay, so we're going to click on this. So we want to, how to change the title of this window. So the goal of step 7 is to change the title. So right now it's defaults to TK. All right. And if you're in Trinket, you don't see anything. But I want to change it to be authorization because I want to get something eventually that looks like this. So how do I do this? And this is where you got to do some research. Now, a few things if you click on this. The default, when I open this up, it looked like this. And I saw all these icons. And this gets more confusing because this doesn't look like Python. This ain't Python. This is Ruby. So it's showing all the programming languages. To hide all this stuff, switch that to Python. All right. Now, I want to find the part where it lets me change the title. And, the hint is, hey, we did geometry here on this frame. I wonder where title is. So if we look here, and you got to do a little research. But you see, oh, Windows title, to examine or change the title of a window. So what this command will do, if I go old title equals window.title, this will get it'll grab the whatever text is in that and save it into the variable old title. But what if you want to set it to a new title? This command right here will set it to whatever I put in quotes. So, and window is whatever our window is. In this case, our window is root. So if I go root.window and I go authorization and then I go run, I put the wrong thing in. Title. Now it says authorization. So there we go. This will change the title of it to authorization. I have added that into my commands. Right? So, you can read a little bit more about what you can do here. Some of that scares me right now. I don't want to figure it out. We're going to rename it. Done. All right. When working in tkinter, you want to arrange user interface elements called widgets. So we have a lot of different widgets on. You might have different buttons or different areas to type text or just different displayed text or images on the screen. These are all different widgets. So to make them display where and how you want, like how do I arrange it to say, oh, be in this corner or be centered or wherever, I need a frame. So when you're drawing this out, you have like the outside thing. This is going to be what we're going to call a window. It's like the window pops up, which is like a window pops up on your screen. But inside the window, we have to put frames. So there could be multiple frames in here. Oh, I didn't want to make that purple. So there could be like, let's say we have inside of here, we're going to have a frame. Okay. And then inside the frame is where we can put stuff. Yeah. And you might have multiple frames, right? So yes, I can. And so inside that, so we have to define a frame first. All right. So, and then we have to make sure that frame gets put into our root window. So we're going to copy this text right here. And if you put that, where does it say to put that? Put that before main loop. So put it right there. We're going to run this again. Now, when I ran that again, nothing changed. And that's because the frame's kind of invisible, but there's a frame in there now called frame login. All right. Now, to help build your widgets, you can create a grid in which you can place and view your widgets. So you need to put a grid inside this frame. And it still trips me up a little bit. So, but just put this line right here, frame login.grid. And I'm going to put it right after. And then if I run this again, nothing changed. So you're like, did that actually do something? I don't know. But what it's doing, I think it's doing, is inside this frame, we're defining a grid. So I'm going to pretend this is what's going on. This is my guess, is that it's putting a grid inside the frame, which is probably the length of the whole frame. And that grid is going to have like columns and rows. So this grid, okay, so I'm going to say this is your grid. Oh, why is it going to be red? Oh, well, hey, I did it. And then it's got like x-axis, y-axis, columns and rows. So think of it, it's going to actually be a grid in there. The following code will create a label widget, and add the code just before the main loop. So now let's add these two lines in here. Now that we've made this grid, and we put these in here again. There we go. Now we have something in there. So this created a label. We said username's new variable. It creates a label. And what this does is it says, hey, put it in this frame called frame login. And the text on that label should be username with a colon. All right. So this created a label and it said put in frame login and then this pack thing. And then you run this pack thing. You're like, what does pack do? All right. So calls the pack method widget to show it within the frames grid. Pack, what I think it does is it just says, okay, now update the screen. It's kind of like running update, or like it won't show until you do a pack. So like if I comment that out, it's not going to be on there. That's what I think it does. There's your levels. You need a window, a frame, and then a grid to put these things in. All right. So following along. Now, one thing you might notice with this is we have, okay, frame login is like a variable. And we've talked about these arguments before in these methods. But then why does this one have an equal sign? So these aren't a little different. Sometimes they call these options in here. But these are just like optional. Think of it as optional arguments in here that you can add into for a function. I think we messed with these a little bit before in the last unit. I could remember doing some of those in some of my code. But so typically you might have arguments or multiple, but Now you can also have, like, these are required to have these arguments in here. But think about it in like circle. No, circle's not even a good example. But these are like options that you can have. And sometimes these are going to be like, oh, the font size or the color, or maybe like the size of something, size of the window. You can have multiple keywords. It doesn't matter what the order these are, too. That's kind of nice about it. It's a little bit more flexible. So maybe I have my normal argument of root, and then I say width equals 100. That's what these are. We can look into, there's a lot of options available. And if you want to look into this, we want to find out 3 other options. So one option that we have right now is the text of the username. But what other options are in there? Now, if we click that, okay, for me, this is kind of hard to figure out. Like, I'm like, okay, where are the options? You look over here and you're like, are these options? Layout, I'm going too far. So if you click reference manual right here, down here, okay, so there's these options, image, state, style, and the text. Okay, because we use text, right? And these are the standard options, label options. So I can like underline it. That probably does it. Or the width of text. Okay. Or make it an image to display. Okay. Text colors on there too. But here's some other widget specific options for the label. I can also justify it, like left, center, or right justified. I can do this relief command. So this specifies like a 3D effect. So if you're curious, like, or you can do wrap lengths. And you can actually do like color or frame background. Or if I go frame color. Oh no, so to change the color, you have to do this background right here. So watch what I'm gonna mess around with things and go ahead and do this yourselves. You can go like background. We can go, what do I want to make my background? Let's go salmon. Salmon. Oh look, it changed the background color. If you want that background to be different. The other option I liked was that, or that raise one. Relief. So watch what happens when I do relief. Like I'm going to go relief and then go groove. So if I go relief equals groove. Uh-oh. Oh boy. All right, I got this working. So what if I have like relief and I can go solid here? Relief will kind of put an outline for that box just to kind of maybe you want to do this to make it look nicer. So I'm just showing you can do those options. Cool. All right. I'm going to move on. Now, just before the main loop, add a label widget that exists in Frame Login. It has the text option password. So we're going to add this one. So we're going to add a label right here. What does this do? Okay. So we're going to do another label. Hey, so we made this label for username. Now we want to make one for password. But what if I just paste that in? Like, that doesn't do anything. So you have to do just like we did above. I'm going to make another variable up here. So how that was label username, I'm going to call this label password. And then, okay, so just like this last one, I made that variable. But it still doesn't show because you have to do this pack thing too. So label password dot pack. And then now it's right there. So I've made another label for password. It appeared right under that. Notice here I have this font on here. Maybe I want these fonts to be the same so it doesn't look as gross. You can copy that font over. I think they recommend that in the next step. Okay, great. Now you might be like, well, what fonts are available here? Because I was curious on this. Because my favorite font is Comic Sans. So I was like guessing around. Can I just do Comic Sans? I don't even know how you'd have to spell it. Does it spell that way? It didn't seem to change it to Comic Sans. Do I do that? Okay, so then I was like, well, let's look up fonts. And this is where You might have to look up things online. So what I've found so far is I found this link to the fonts, and it says TK guarantees Courier, Times, and Helvetica. You could probably get other fonts if they're on your computer, or if I was probably using Visual Studio, but I don't know if it works in Replit. So I don't know which fonts do work in Replit and which don't. But so if I don't like that, or I'm sure there's a way to get Comic Sans on here. I'd hope that. I know we did that because we did that in the last unit. But notice it's the Times New Roman font. I think you saw the difference right there. I'd really like to know how to do Comic Sans. If any of you guys figure this out, let me know. Because that's my favorite font, especially for projects. Because it means I'm taking it serious. All right. So whatever, we can change them. Now, the pack method. We have that pack and it's just pack, right? But we can add some options into pack as well. So what if we add Patty 50 to one cell? Watch what happens. So if we take this pack, we go Patty 50 and we go Pad X 50 here. Watch what happens. What? So I'm actually going to do that one at a time. So it shifted things. Let's see what the first one does. Pad Y50 shifted this. It seems like it shifted it down 50. And what's annoying is you can't see everything, but if I do this and go, okay, it shifted this down 50, and then the next one also shifted down 50. You might like play around with this. Let's say if I did 30. Okay, it's going to only shift down 30. That's cool. I have this issue, like you can't see everything, so I'm like, I'm going to expand this. I'm going to break their rules. I can't, like, okay, this makes it easier to see what's going on. So what if I did like a Pad X instead? Pad X would shift this over 30, and then this one stays shifted over. I think that's what's neat about this. Pad Y equals, say, 50. But what's neat to me, it's not just this one shifts, but everything after that also shifts. It's weird, like this, but so I'm not really sure how this works. Okay, so it said this shifted over 30, and then when it says Pad Y 50, I assume that means it goes down 50, and then it does that pass. Then it does that. What if I did Pad Y as 30, and then that one as 50? This one would go down 30. I wonder if this one's going down. If this one's going down 50, or if that one was going down 30 plus 50, 80. I really... Okay, I think it was just going down 50. So that's cool. What if I just said only Pad X right here? So this one... So it's kind of weird because this one pads the X here, but they're both going to be padded X. So I'm guessing even though you put these on different ones, they're going to like combine the padding somehow. I don't know exactly. But it looks like it moves things around. Let's reset those options in step 15 right here. You're going to put those back. Not going to mess with it for now, but all right. So 16, your user will have to enter a username and password. So we want to have an entry place. How do they enter things and type stuff in? So we're going to paste this. To do this, they need to be a text entry field for both inputs. Use the following code to create a text entry field. Entry widget does. Okay, so program where appropriate. So where do you enter this? Okay. Well, if you go back to the original, I want to have an entry box but after username and after password. I'm going to need two of these. Let's do one at a time. Let's put it after I do username. They put it there. Let's see what happens. There you go. I got a block. Now, what's happening here? 2 lines. Entry looks like it creates an entry block, a box right here where I can enter text into. This first, the variable argument seems to me says, oh, okay, put it inside the frame, just like I put this username inside the frame. And then BD equals 3. I don't know what BD equals or what it means. It says, hey, look that up. And I'm like, oh, I want to look this up. So, hey, the TW is very nice. They give you this link. That doesn't work. Oh, well. Taking a break. F-bot. F's in chat. Okay, so you can look this up. I don't know what it does. I don't care. I'll have to look that up later. So let's add a text entry. Okay, so let's do the password too. Kind of curious. Here's the problem. If I do this one and I say, okay. But this is also, like, this is the same variable. That Python lets me do this, but that means everything here was deleted. I bet I need to use that later on. Let's make a new variable. Because I don't want it to overwrite everything from that block. So we're going to make a new variable right here. And hey, there we go. One thing you might notice is it does a pad Y5, so it's putting a little bit of space right here. Just to get a little separation, looks a little nicer. And yeah, there you go. Cool. And we've made those blocks. All right. Now, another thing in 17, so when I add text, I can type my username in here and I type my password. Typically, when I type my password, I don't want it to show my password, right? I want to hide those, usually with an asterisk character. So let's make an edit right here. Add a text entry field for the password and make sure set the show option to star. So I might want to look that up anyways. So I'm guessing I can go show equals star if I'm following this logic here. So when we enter here, let's go show equal to star. And now if I run this, username works, passwords are going to be stars. Did you do anything? Could I like show equals money sign? Oh, sweet. You can just do like a letter. Wait, can you do a phrase? Oh, no. Okay. I was hoping to. One character. Oh, well. At sign. Gonna be weird. All right. I learned something. That's cool. Use the online documentation in your notes to add a button to your program. Name the button. Okay. Like every time. Okay, now it's not copy and paste. Oh, we got to learn a little bit ourselves. How do we do this? So I'm going to go to this documentation that we have open. I got all these tabs open. I don't want that stuff on my screen anymore. So how do we do a button? This was window, and then I want to add a button. So this is where we got to look up a few things on how to add a button. All right. Oh. All right. So in my commands, I wrote down the tutorial. That's why I like saving these things. I think we were here earlier. We got a button. And there's a reference manual. Okay, this looks familiar. We can make buttons. Okay. So what if I did this? And I can do text and then the command. So I don't know what all that does. Buttons say text, image and compound, blah, blah, blah. The command option connects the button's action to your application. So I bet we'll have to do that eventually later. But for now, I'm going to avoid using command. And I'm going to make another button down here. And I'm going to say, don't submit the form. Because I probably don't have a submit form thing yet. But what if not TTK button. What's it? TK button, right? No, it's not parent. This is going to be frame. Run. Oops. Nope. I bet I have to do back. Oh, I got to do all that again. Okay. Good guess. I have a button. Cool. I can probably do all these options in here if I want to look at button. I can, where was my button thing? Okay, reference manual if I want to see what I can do with this. Okay, command will probably be useful later on, but that's it, folks. Part 2 later.